month ago, the Red Sox and the Blue Jays battled through 4 grueling games in Toronto. And when the dust had settled, the Red Sox had shut the Blue Jays out 3 times, including a gutsy 1-0 masterpiece pitched by Roger Clemens. They had seemingly left the Blue Jays for dead. But since then, Clemens has not won another game, and the Red Sox have come crashing back to earth. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays have become September's cardiac kids, winning game after game with last-minute heroics. So now we start a new 6-game season to decide the AL East. Welcome to Fenway. The people here are ready for this big one, and so are we. So let's check out the Sears diehard starting lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Center fielder Mookie Wilson leads it off. Another switch hitter, Tony Fernandez, the shortstop, bats second. Batting third baseman Kelly Gruber having a fine year. The first baseman Fred McGriff hits fourth. In left field tonight, George Bell batting fifth. The rookie designated hitter John Olerud bats sixth. Right fielder Junior Felix will hit seventh. Batting eighth and doing the catching, Pat Border. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Manny Lee.
Boston Red Sox defense behind Mike Boddicker. Tom Bernansky, good right fielder. Ellis Burks in center. Mike Greenwell knows how to play the wall here in Fenway, and left Wade Boggs. In this last ball game with back spasm will be at third. Luis Rivera, the shortstop. Former shortstop Jody Reed at second. Carlos Quintana over at first base. And the guy that's brought it all together, Tony Pena, behind the plate. On the mound, Mike Boddicker. It is a 33rd year.
Jim, you said a minute ago that you think that Boston has the advantage. I think there's a big advantage, first of all, in the fact that they're playing here at Fenway Park, where they have played better and is always a little different for the visiting team. Here's the season series between the two teams. The Red Sox lead it 8-2 and at Fenway. Toronto has yet to win a ball game. That just illustrates your point.
Well, it also illustrates what a difference a year will make. That other graphic right there, they had won 15 in a row. All of 1988 and 1989, Toronto came to Fenway Park and won all 15 ball games.
Well, the Blue Jays were in great jeopardy of being termed the great underachievers of 1990 until they got it together of late and began to win some games in late innings, something they had not done the entire season until the second half of this month.
Well, 2 weekends ago, when they came from 3 runs down on Friday and Saturday, and then came and won another ball game 5-4 on Sunday, I think even them, they believed that they could win. And here's a ball club that has played 16-8 in September. Mike Boddicker will try to put a stop to that.
Boddicker making his 33rd start of the year.
I talked to him. I said, well, just throw the unexpected. He said, I will. I'll throw fastballs. But really, that is what, in my estimation, what makes his curveball, his changeup, and his slider that effective. You will see a little bit of David Cone in Mike Boddicker. He will drop down what David Cone calls it the Rado curveball. He'll drop down and throw from the side down under, south of the border.
Well, this ballpark, as we mentioned, is always a factor for the visiting team. Of course, with the monster out there, you have to play a little bit differently offensively and defensively. Toronto has got some guys, however, on this ball club that even 420 feet won't corral. And, of course, it's a lot different in right field with just 302 right down the foul pole and then dropping away quickly. But the monster 37 feet high out there.
It's also a very, excuse me, Steve, a very difficult park to play if you're a center fielder. You know, if you're Ellis Burks and Mike Greenwell, you're used to left field wall, and if you're Ellis Burks, center field. But if you're Mookie Wilson, those little nooks and crannies out in right center field can make a difference. I think also just the fact that Pat Borders, right-handed catcher, is playing instead of Greg Myers tells you about what Cito Gaston thinks about the wall.
Mookie Wilson takes a strike to start the ball game. Wilson hitting .261, 3 homers and 49 RBIs, a ball and a strike. bouncer past the mound. Jody Reed will have to hurry, and he got it there just in time.
Little changeup just tapped. Again, catching it on his left foot takes about a step and a half. The quick throw. Quintana, who moved from the outfield to first base, nice stretch. Carlos, about 6'3", goes down the line and makes the first out.
And that brings up Tony Fernandez, who's hitting .270, but is a much better hitter from the left side than the right side. Left-handed this year. Fernandez hitting .291.
61 points higher from the left side. And he's been hot.
And he loops a base hit into center field. He now has an 8-game hitting streak.
Well, in his last, it's now 16 out of 18 games he's hit in, and his batting average during that time almost 400 now. Well, here's a veteran player that has not really had a good 1990. All of a sudden get it in gear when it matters.
So he's at first with one out for Kelly Gruber. And as hot as Fernandez has been, Gruber has been that hot longer.
Yeah, the one difference between Dave, Steve, and Mike Boddicker is you can steal on Boddicker. You can't steal as easily on Dave, Steve. Tony Fernandez in his last 12 games, 7 stolen bases. So not only getting on base via the base hit or the walk, but also stealing when he does it. Makes Cetos Gaston's, the manager of the Blue Jays, job a lot easier.
Fernandez has 23 stolen bases. Gruber with 30 homers and 113 RBIs. 1-1.
I think it's fair to talk about the Blue Jays back in '87 when they did not win the final week of the season. Tony Fernandez broke his elbow, landed on his elbow, did not play. Neither did Ernie Witt. Jimmy Williams was the manager then. As you look at Ceto Gaston on our left, Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, to his right.
Two and 1 to Gruber, who in the last 17 games has driven in 25 runs. Talk about production at the right time. And Fernandez finally draws a throw. You can see that in July and August it was the dog days.
We also got hit on the back of the left hand, and that and the wrist area very, very sore.
Fernandez going on a breaking ball. He's in there.
Well, you said it best, Steve. Going on a breaking ball. Even 2-1, Boddicker will throw a breaking ball. That is part of his good break by Fernandez. Good throw by Tony Pena, but a little bit high. He may have been out. In fact, I think he would have been out if it's a low throw.
1-0 Boston as we go to the bottom half of the third inning. And the Red Sox are continually berated for their known, if not perceived, September slides. But this really shows what has happened to them since the 5th of September. They've been, since the 20th, tied 3 times, but they've never led the division. They've trailed Toronto or been tied with them after losing that 6.5 game lead.
Toronto playing very, very well during that period. A combination of Red Sox not playing well and Toronto playing well.
Wade Boggs leads off the third for the Red Sox and takes a ball. Boggs with a single to left field in the first inning that broke an 0 for 12 slump. And that's something that's not very
familiar. 1 for his last 20.
Yeah, 1 for his last 20 is right. So 2 for his last 21. 1-1.
Well, a lot of talk about Boggs in his quest for the 8th consecutive time to get 200 plus hits, 200 or 200 plus hits. Not taking base on balls with his usual style, swinging a lot of pitches over his head in the dirt. But right now that seems like it's out of reach. Yeah, maybe this will be good for the Red Sox over the next 6 ball games. He will be the Wade Boggs of the last couple of years, and that's an awfully good hitter.
Too tight. 2-1. He'd have to get about 3.5 hits a game over the next 6 games, the last 6 games, to make it. And I was talking to him before the game. I said, you know, those 3 hits a game are not too hard to get, but that half a hit.
Well, he is capable of doing that, but part of his game plan right here, 3-1. Is he going to swing at a pitch or is he going to take it? See, now that's a ball that last year he takes, he goes down to first base. And again, I think he's just programmed to try to get 200 hits, and there's nothing wrong with that. But 3-1, Wade Boggs swinging at that pitch down in the dirt just doesn't happen very often.
And what's better for the team? Obviously, for Boggs to be on base. Now he won't, as he grounds to McGriff, who takes it himself. 1 away. Right here, it's 1-0 Boston with 1 out, nobody on, bottom of the 3rd, and Ellis Burks, the hitter. It was Burks who drove in the run in the first inning. His 89th RBI of the year as he looks at ball 1. The slider that's too high makes it 2-0.
Well, when the Red Sox won those 10 straight, Burks very much in the middle of it. His average right around 300 all year long. Career high in home runs with 21.
On the knees. 2-1.
Interesting article in the Boston Globe by Peter Gammons, who of course works for ESPN, saying that Burks is such a gifted athlete that whatever he does may never be enough.
Yeah, he is saddled with that greatest of all albatrosses, potential. High, fairly deep fly ball to right, but Junior Felix has room for out number 2. One of the worst things about potential is that it is often perceived potential, and that's the hardest type of potential to live up to.
Well, we've talked about it. The guys come up and they say, you know, if you hit 300 your first year, they'll expect it every year. If you win 20 games your first year. He has had some real good years for him. But of course, he's also had some injuries, ankle and shoulder last year.
Mike Greenwell takes a curveball for a strike. Greenwell had a base hit to left field in the first inning. Another breaking ball. This one fouled off.
Now, when you come in as a lifetime 320 hitter like Mike Greenwell and you're only hitting 294, a lot of people think maybe you're having a bad year. And that average down in the 260s most of the year.
Well, he just really has turned it on lately. Over the last 66 games, he's hit 344. And that has raised that average back up near 300. Roger Clemens. Still no word on whether or not he will in fact start tomorrow's game. He is scheduled, but it is not a certainty. Greenwell gets a piece of it. It's still a ball and 2 strikes.
I had a chance to talk to a former teammate who is now the first base coach, Al Bumbry, and he said that he thinks Roger will be out there. Didn't think that he was ready to pitch in New York, but thinks he's got it all together now. And Bill Fisher on his left, our right, the pitching coach, hoping that he will go out there. But what he's going to be able to do, that's the key.
Greenwell strikes out to end the inning as Steve retires the Red Sox in order. Still 1-0 Boston.
As the middle innings progressed, with Boston still leading Toronto 1-0, defense and pitching proved to be the dominant theme for both clubs. In the bottom of the 4th, Dave Stieb punched out Dwight Evans and Tom Brunansky. He then got Tony Pena to ground out to third base. The top of the 5th saw some nice defensive plays by the Sox as Mike Boddicker threw out Pat Borders after a comebacker to the mound for out number 1. A Manny Lee walk then set up a smooth 4-6-3 double play off the bat of Junior Felix to end the top of the inning. The Blue Jays infield shut down the Sox in the bottom of the 5th. Kelly Gruber converted a ground ball down the third base line off the bat of Luis Rivera for the first out of the inning. And second baseman Manny Lee fielded shots from Jody Reed and Carlos Quintana for outs number 2 and 3. In the top of the 6th, Mookie Wilson flew out to center field for the first out of the inning. Tony Fernandez then reached first base on a ball hit through the right side, only to be gunned down by Tony Pena while trying to steal second. The final out of the inning came when Kelly Gruber grounded out to his counterpart, Wade Boggs. So with Boston still leading Toronto 1-0, when we come back, we'll pick up the action in the bottom of the 6th inning, right here on ESPN Classic.
This 3-game series almost a sequel for the remainder of the season for both Boston and Toronto. Toronto, they will go to Baltimore and play 3. Greg Olson, 35 saves, is healthy, something that wasn't 2 weeks ago. And Boston will have the White Sox come in. The White Sox, authors of 91 victories in 1990, even though they finished or second place behind the Oakland A's.
That'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here in Fenway.
I think the key here is not to get swept. Yeah, 2 out of 3. Even if you lose 2 out of 3, you're very much in the race.
And each team going into this series hoping for a sweep. Wade Boggs leads off the 6th inning. He's 1 for 2. Single to left back in the first. Too high. 1-1.
Well, Toronto getting shut out 6-0. Ron Robinson and Milwaukee Brewers, so they have not scored a run now in at least 15 consecutive innings. It might be a little bit longer because they may not have scored their prior game. So they are not supporting Dave Steve. He has had 1 bad inning, and that was the first. 1 run and 4 base hits pitched out of a jam.
Boggs fouls it off, and it's 2-2. The Blue Jays, of course, had yesterday off while Boston played in Detroit and won to tie things up. Before the game, Cito Gaston held a closed-door clubhouse meeting with the Blue Jays. I'm sure there was nothing spectacular about it. And part of that talk, Jim, with you having spent all the years you spent in clubhouses, was probably trying to get the guys to relax. And they seemed pretty loose when I was in there earlier today. Business as usual, card games.
Well,
kidding.
try to do what you're capable of doing. I mean, if you're not a home run hitter like Mookie Wilson, don't take home run swing.
Another out of play by Boggs. 2-2 still.
Really play within the confines of your ability level. And of course, that is the big question with Toronto. Everybody, I mean, all the experts have said this is the best team in the American League East, and yet after 156 games, they're tied.
Boggs keeps fouling them off.
If you take the stigma of the past performance of the Red Sox, I think Boston has played over their heads this year. I mean, this is a team that only won 73 games last year. They've already won 84.
Inside now, 3-2. Yes, but having gotten to this point, should they not succeed, the fans of Boston will say, well, it's just another example of here we go again. Boggs with a high, deep drive to right. Felix going back. It is out of here.
His back must be well. 3-2. All you try to do is what you just talked about, Steve, and that is relax, make contact. We've seen Boggs expand the strike zone tonight. 6th home run on the year. But watch this. He is out in front. Slider that gets the bat head out. Just drops the head, and really the bat does the rest. Just soaring into the Red Sox bullpen, and that is a blast. You got to hit it a long way. This is not a very easy ballpark for left-handed hitters.
That ball went over a part of the fence that is in excess of 380 feet away.
There are 2 surprise people in this ballpark. Number 1, Wade Boggs, because he doesn't hit very many home runs, only number 6, and the other one is Dave Steve.
That's only the 10th he's given up this year.
Exactly.
Ellis Burks, the hitter.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the swing that Kirk Gibson had off of Eckersley on a slider.
That's true.
In the World Series game number 1 in 1988.
Very similar location.
Right down and in, which is where you don't want to throw a left-handed hitter. That is their power.
And what an at-bat by Boggs, fouling off so many pitches to get one that he could drive, and he drove it. 9th pitch of the at-bat. Wade Boggs.
Well, that's a good point. Talking to Al Bumber, he said if Wade does not get 200 hits, and it looks like he may not, you may see him go back to what he did in '87, which is hit home runs. He hit 24 the year of the home run. ball is a little bit more lively that year. Because if you watch him in batting practice, he has the ability to drive the ball. There's Al at first.
Well, that was Wade Boggs' first home run since June 28th. So your point is well illustrated by that fact. Right in there. And the count to Burks now is 3-2. A run in to make it 2-0 Boston on Boggs' leadoff home run in the 6th inning. On the ground to short. Bad hop comes up for Fernandez. Safe.
Well described by you, Steve. It comes up. You don't get this on AstroTurf. Tony Only's will be his 9th error, and I assume that will be scored as an error. The ball played off the chest. You can do it at third. You can do it at second base, but you can't do it at shortstop, especially if you have good speed. Ellis Burks running all the way. AstroTurf, you don't get too many hops. You don't have the ball come up on you. Burks does not run. That is not an error because Fernandez pounced on it and made the throw.
Number 39, Mike Greenwell, left fielder Greenwell.
So it's the first error of the game, or for Toronto. Boston committing an error earlier. And here's Mike Greenwell, 1 for 2, single to left in the 1st inning. On the outside corner for strike 1.
Burks can run a little bit. Has only stolen 9. He's been thrown out 10 times. Doesn't like to steal bases because of the ankle injury 2 years ago.
Steve stepping on to get him to go back to the bag.
Wayne Ward, the right-hander, up and throwing for Toronto. This is one of the great bullpens. Warm up and watch the game at the same time.
That's right. And the guys who aren't warming up get seats where they can look directly in at home plate.
Well, this is one of the classic places like Detroit where you warm up and the fans tell you how badly you're throwing. Go warm up, Palmer. Get the curve. Are you ever going to get a curveball over?
And
no.
just when you get warmed up, they may cool you off with a beverage if you are the opposing team. Nobody out. 1 strike to count to Greenwell.
Well, Burks can run. I doubt if he'll run in this situation. Nobody out. You got the first base hole. And also Steve very quick to the plate because he doesn't have much of a leg kick.
Breaking ball, line to center. Mookie Wilson right there to make the catch for out number 1 as Burks retreats to first. Greenwell hit it right on the schnoz. Cito Gaston, like most major league managers in situations like this, remaining very stoic.
Well, you know, it's funny. When he took over the Blue Jays last year, they were 12-24. They went 77-49. Everybody said he's just the guy they need. This year, they're saying maybe he ought to become more emotional. Have a young ball club that needs directions, with the exception of maybe George Bell. Even McGriff is young. Gruber's young. Mookie Wilson, a veteran that they acquired from the Mets last year. Maybe you need to point him in the right direction more often.
Dwight Evans gets a breaking ball and skies it to right. Junior Felix makes the catch. And again, Burks goes back to first now with 2 out as Evans is 0 for 3. Well, that chemistry, that unknown, those intangible things are very hard to define and therefore hard to put the right match together. As we look at Boggs' home run again.
Very few left-handed hitters don't like the ball in that zone. Don't have to be quite as quick. All you do is drop the bat. Let the bat do the work.
Tom Brunansky puts a charge in one to center field. Way back. Home run. is a 4-0 Boston lead.
We showed you the dimensions of Fenway. One of the facets here is that it is not that difficult to hit home runs straight away center field. Toronto, it's about 408. Here it's 390. Bernansky knows it's gone all the way, number 11, and so does Dave Stieb. All year long, he's kept the ball in the ballpark. Tonight, Boggs' unexpected home run, and the way Bernansky's swinging, that home run was unexpected.
It is Brunansky's first home run since September 3rd. And the Sox fans are loving it as Tony Pena fouls it back for strike one. Pena has struck out and grounded out.
Well, you couple this with the fact that Toronto now in 33 innings against the Red Sox pitching haven't scored. They got to be getting a little apprehensive about what the pitching staff with Boston is going to be able to do. Again, we talked about it earlier. What is Roger Clemens going to be able to do tomorrow if he does pitch? Has not pitched since September 4th.
And remember what we talked about earlier. The Blue Jays, after having great success here in Fenway, have not won a game here yet this year. And here they are with 3 that could decide it. And they find themselves down 4-0 midway through game 1. 3-1 to Pena. 2 out and nobody on because Brunansky brought Burks home ahead of him. 3-2. As he often does, chases one out of the strike zone, and he's down. 2 very unlikely home runs and a 4-0 Red Sox lead. Fred McGriff, the hitter, takes a strike leading off the 7th inning. Boston now leading 4-0, and the Blue Jays hoping that it's not too little too late for them. McGriff 1 for 2. He was robbed of a base hit on a fine play by Brunansky in the first and had an infield single in the 4th. And he's got another base hit into right center field to open the 7th inning. Only the 4th hit for Toronto against Mike Boddicker.
Got to throw a strike, 4-run lead. You're behind McGriff. Got it away, so he doesn't get a lot of leverage. Because with 34 home runs, get that inside half, it'll be 4-1 in a hurry. Cardinal rule is when you got a big lead, don't want to change your pitching pattern, but you do want to get ahead. And you also want them to swing the bats.
George Bell takes a breaking ball outside. Ball 1. Bell has popped out in foul territory to Boggs and lined out the left. Foul outside first. 1-1.
Action in the Boston Red Sox bullpen. Larry Anderson was left home on the one-day road trip to Detroit in the makeup game because of a tired arm up and throwing.
Is that a juxtaposition there? He has a tired arm, but yet he's up and throwing. Jeff Gray on the far side and Anderson closest to you. Boddicker has given up 4 hits, struck out 2 and walked 2 as Joe Morgan is on the bullpen phone in the Red Sox dugout. Inside, and it hits George Bell. So Toronto with first and second and nobody out.
I just talked about before the ball game, Steve and Mike Boddicker usually lead the American leagues in hits batsmen. 8th time for Mike Boddicker, Steve with 9. You know what happens when you just hang out over the plate as a hitter. Bill Fisher will come out and talk to Mike. Toronto with a makings of a big inning. 2-1 pitch.
Looked like it hit him on the right forearm.
When you're down by 4 runs, you will take one for the club. The intention is not to get hit, but you really don't mind it. Mike's saying that's the last thing I wanted to do.
Now he's got 2 on and nobody out, with McGriff in scoring position and John Olerud, who is 0 for 2, the hitter. Down low, ball 1. Olerud is grounded to second and flying out to center. Fenway full house that was roaring in the bottom half of the 6th inning is apprehensively quiet here in the top of the 7th. Breaking ball, foul outside first, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, isn't this part of the scenario, part of the script? Get a fairly insurmountable 4-0 lead the way Mike Boddicker is pitching. The first guy gets a base hit. He hits the next one, goes 1-0 on the next hitter. He has thrown a lot of pitches. Normally I would think that Mike would be effective somewhere in the 100 to 120 pitch range, but he may come back if Clemens can't and pitch Wednesday, the last game of the season, so you don't want him to go too far tonight.
And you know that has to go into the thinking as Olerud is called out on strike.
When you get into the 7th inning, all outs are big ones. You got 9 more before Toronto gets 4 runs. And when you get above a base hit and it hits batsman, when you get a hitter that has a good eye, makes you throw the strike, whether it caught the inside corner or not, it was an awfully good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strike. Close enough for Jim McKean behind the plate to ring up John Olerud.
And it looked like it did come back a little bit and catch the inside corner.
Well, the same pitch that will give right-handed hitters trouble off Boddicker is one that will give left-handed batters off. Ball you give up on the inside corner, and it comes back, as you said, runs about 3 or 4 inches, catches the inside corner. And again, it's a matter of throwing the pitch where the catcher sits. Pena moved inside. Boddicker came inside. It looks like we will have a pinch hitter. Rance Mullenix will, a veteran third baseman.
Pat Borders was a scheduled hitter, and Mullenix apparently will hit for him. Cincinnati tied in their ball game with San Diego 1-1 in the 8th inning. And the Dodgers are trying to hang in there. The magic number for Cincinnati going into today, 2. A win by Cincinnati reduces it to 1. A win and a loss by the Dodgers eliminates Los Angeles, because that would clinch at least a tie. Well, it wouldn't eliminate them, but it would clinch at least a tie. Mullenix takes low, ball 1. Rance hitting .284.
A good veteran player that DH for him for a while. Does have some power. More of a home run hitter in the old exhibition stadium. Hasn't hit a lot of home runs this year because hasn't been up a lot. But as a veteran, he said, my job is to stay on the bench and try to pick up the things you need to do to help your ball club win.
Grounded off the end of the bat and by Rivera. Here comes McGriff. He will score, and Toronto cuts the 4-run lead to 3 on a pinch hit RBI by Rance Mullenix.
I'm wondering if Luis or Rivera did not cheat too much. This looked like a double play ball, hit it hard, but you'd think that Rivera up the middle. But again, if you're a shortstop, you come in a couple of feet. You can see Boddicker can't believe it because he thought he threw a double play ball. Result is no, it's not a double play. It's a base hit to center field. 4-1. Runners at first and second. Tying run at the plate.
And still only 1 out.
You know, it's funny about how you sometimes have to turn around and tell your infielders, I know it's a double play situation, but make sure you get 1. Jim Eppert. Yeah, Jim coming up and just taking one for the ball club, and that'll bring out Joe Morgan, manager of the Red Sox. He has seen enough from Mike Boddicker.
Second hitter in the inning to be hit by a pitch by Boddicker, as the pinch hitter Jim Eppert, who was hitting for Manny Lee, took the first pitch on the foot. I'll tell you what, they have stalled enough during this inning. Somebody has got to be ready in the bullpen. That has been the concern, as now the bases will be loaded. And Larry Anderson will come into the game. That'll be it for Boddicker. It's 4-1 Boston. Four to 1 Boston with one out in the 7th inning. The bases loaded. And Larry Anderson on in relief of Mike Boddicker, who leaves after 6 1/3 innings. He cannot lose this game, but he could get a no decision if all 3 base runners were to score, because they are all 3 his responsibility.
A tying run at first base, and this will be Larry Anderson's 63rd game of the year. 50 with Houston. This is the 13th with the Red Sox, and he has pitched well. The numbers, only 13 hits in those 19 innings. 3 base on balls, but he has been used very frequently by Joe Morgan. I think last night mirrors the way Joe Morgan uses some of his pitchers, Steve. He had Reardon up 3 times before he ultimately used him to save the ball game.
Kenny Williams is into the game. Well, first of all, Soho's into the game as a pinch runner. Luis Soho will be the pinch runner at second. And Kenny Williams, I think, is over at first base as a pinch runner as well. There's Kenny. So tons of changes here, as Mullinex, who pinch hit, is pinch run for by Soho, and Eppert, who pinch hit, is pinch run for by Kenny Williams. So
expanded rosters, expanded speed.
Yep, some speed on the bases and some players being used up. And here is Junior Felix, who takes high, ball 1. Felix is 0 for 2. He's popped to third and grounded into a double play.
Larry Anderson, best pitch, very much like Dave Steve, that slider. A veering, careening slider that, if he's right, has good movement.
1-1. The inning started on a base hit by Fred McGriff, and then Boddicker hit George Bell with a pitch, struck out Olerud, Rance Mullinex with a pinch single, and Boddicker hit Eppert with a pitch. On the ground toward the hole, Rivera to Reed in time, not in time at first. On the play, George Bell scores to make it 4-2 Boston. It'll be an RBI for Felix on the fielder's choice, his 62nd of the year.
Well, this time Rivera, the shortstop. Luis just knows he's not going to have 2. But Jody Reed will make the throw anyway. Junior Felix runs too well to double him up, and the Blue Jays get another run.
That run charged to Boddicker. Now runners at first and third with 2 out for Mookie Wilson, who is 0 for 3 and no hits in his last 14 at bats. High and away, ball 1. Mookie tonight has grounded out twice and flied to center. The tying runs are on for Toronto. We're in the 7th inning.
Junior Felix with 12 steals at first. I doubt if he's going anywhere.
Ball 2.
Been thrown out 8 times.
Soho, the runner at third, and the runner at first, Junior Felix.
Felix with enough speed to score on any kind of double. One of the advantages you come over from the National League is that a lot of American League pitchers don't know you. I think Mookie had that advantage last year. He hit almost 300 down the stretch. But Larry Anderson, a National League pitcher since 1982, we will know what Mookie likes and doesn't like.
Fouled off, and now it's 2-2. Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, standing to manager Cito Gaston's left.
And to his right, the batting instructor, Gene Tennis, former Oakland A, played with the Cardinals.
Gino, part of those dynasty teams of the early and mid 70s with Oakland.
Yeah, he helped them be a dynasty when he hit 4 home runs in that World Series in 1972.
Line drive, base hit. Soho scores. Felix stops at second, and it's a 1-run ball game. Boston now leading it 4-3. A 2-out RBI single by Mookie Wilson.
Well, hadn't had a base hit, just tried to make contact. That's what you do. And when you're Luis Rivera, it always seems when things aren't going well that you're either playing a step too much in the hole, maybe not up the middle. Relax, Mike, you still got a 1-run lead so far.
But that tying run is now in scoring position. And the batter, Tony Fernandez, who is 2 for 3. Strike one. Fernandez has singled to center, grounded to second, and singled to right. He has stolen a base and been caught stealing once. One and one.
The thing to point out about Larry Anderson, we saw him last Friday in New York where he came in to finish the ball game. It does not look like he changes speeds like a lot of American League pitchers. Everything is hard. I haven't seen that off-speed pitch that would have you out in front.
Fernandez grounding it into the hole, knocked down by Quintana. Here comes Junior Felix to tie the game.
Second consecutive time, Boddicker will not get a win or a loss, a no decision. The play that maybe Jody Reed would have kept in the infield, but Quintana does not know that. He makes his best effort to come up with it, and it doesn't. It kicks off his glove, and that's all is needed as Toronto comes all the way around third. Junior Felix scoring easily on the base hit by Tony Fernandez.
For Fernandez, his 3rd hit of the game and his 65th RBI of the year. Runners at first and third, and there goes Fernandez, safe at second with his 2nd stolen base of the game and his 25th of the season. And Toronto has come back strong here in the 7th inning as the hitter Kelly Gruber is the 9th Blue Jay to bat in the inning. Strike to Gruber. Kelly is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out. He also walked back in the first. Runners at second and third with 2 out. And Gruber chasing one. A ball and 2 strikes. Anderson just moving that slider farther and farther outside.
It's something we talked about before, like going up the ladder. Same thing with a right-handed slider to a right-handed hitter. Just they swing at it, just move it away, away, away.
This one foul back, and the count remains 1-2. Jeff Gray, who was up earlier, throwing once again. Much quieter Fenway with a 4-4 tie, and the Blue Jays still threatening to take the lead. Out of play again by Gruber. And the count still 1-2. Mike Boddicker reacting in the dugout. And he's seen enough.
I don't think, knowing Mike as a former teammate, he's not mad at Quintana. He's not mad at Larry Anderson. He is mad at fate. Part of that fate he created, of course, with the 2 hits batsmen. But what happens is balls aren't hit hard. Batters don't get out of the way. And all of a sudden you see a 4-0 lead evaporate. And you're real frustrated. Just as I'm sure all Red Sox fans are. It's not exactly like they've been hit hard. But this is baseball.
Yep.
You know, if you look at the coming into tonight, you figure Toronto would hit the home runs, yet the Red Sox have. This is a Red Sox rally right here in the 7th inning for Toronto.
Outside, 2-2.
And the fans will boo, but I tell you what, if they look on deck, what do you see? Fred McGriff with 34 home runs. So it's not as simple as it may seem. Gruber's got 113 RBIs. You just don't pitch around him to get to McGriff with 34 home runs. He had 36 the year before and 34 the other year. He hasn't had as many RBIs because this guy's gotten them all, or most of them.
Clean the bases before Freddie can get up. Fouled off again.
Poor Freddie.
Yeah, he's really suffered. McGriff with only 34 homers and 83 RBI. But Freddie is a left-handed hitter. Another reason why Larry Anderson desperately wants and needs to get Kelly Gruber. Four hits in the inning. 4 runs are in. 2 hit batters. Tapped weakly toward third. Tough play for Boggs. He got him. Only appropriate. With the standings tied, we'd have a tie game.
We pick up the action in the bottom of the 8th inning with Toronto and Boston still tied at 4 here on ESPN Classic.
Ellis Burks leads off the bottom of the 8th for Boston. Burks is 1 for 3 with an RBI single in the first. He has also scored a run. And he misses the sinking fastball.
Perfect example of being a great fastball hitter. We saw that last Friday off of Chuck Carey. Burks with a 2-run shot in Yankee Stadium. I think he looked fastball and got something differently.
And there he came right back with another breaking pitch. And it's 0-2.
Well, when they had Tom Hankey, David Wells, and Dwayne Ward, and Jim Acker all in the Toronto bullpen, and they still have a terrific bullpen, they had something special.
One and 2.
Came over from Atlanta for Doyle Alexander.
Now there's a story you could get into. Alexander and the year he had for Toronto and Detroit in the American League.
A good guy to have around in September and October. He never lost.
That's right. And he couldn't win a game in Atlanta. 2-2 now to Burks. It's Burks, Greenwell, and Evans in the 8th for Boston.
You know how Doyle got to the American League. Frank Robinson trade.
Is that right?
1972.
Burks down on strikes on the changeup. Mike Greenwell with a check swing strike is 1 for 3 tonight. He singled to left field in the first inning. Batting here with 1 out and nobody on. On the ground to third, Gruber with the backhand pickup, and it goes through the legs of Fred McGriff. Greenwell trying for second. He's in there.
That was a ground rule. The umpire's ruling, Steve, even though the throw is high at second, that was a ground rule call by the umpires that said the ball either hit the edge of the dugout, which means it's an overthrow, and Greenwell automatically awarded second base. So it didn't matter. Even if Soho made a perfect throw, Greenwell already would have been safe at second because of the overthrow and the ball hitting a part of the ballpark that is out of limits.
Well, we'll see how they score it. It should be a two-base error charged to Gruber. Greenwell appropriately taking nothing for granted. He didn't know where the ball went. He didn't know it was going to be a ground rule, and he hustled all the way. So the error on Gruber puts the go-ahead run and the potential winning run for the Red Sox, even though we are only still in the 8th inning, in scoring position with one out for Dwight Evans. A strike on the inside corner. Evans tonight is 0 for 3. He has popped out, struck out, and flied out. No pitch.
Take a moment right here to talk about the back injury. Last year, Dwight Evans and Dwayne Ward a little bit upset that Jim McKean called timeout so late. He was checking second base and then just came home, or at least intended to come home, and had to stop his windup, which can be injurious to your arm. But talking about Dwight Evans, I asked him, I said, will you be able to play the outfield next year? And he said, not unless I have back surgery. When he had the stress fracture, it healed on the inside of the pelvis. So there apparently it pushes on a muscle. He said the funny thing is when I don't get on, it feels pretty good. He says when I run, I aggravate it.
On the ground, another stop by Gruber. And another high throw. Here comes Greenwell. The Red Sox take the lead 5-4 on 2 errors by Kelly Gruber.
A team of contrast. Red Sox usually make the errors. Tonight, the #1 defensive ball club in the American League East. And right here, this is what does it. He thinks he can tag the runner. He thinks he can get Greenwell, won't have to make the throw, and then he has to make what looks like an on-balance throw, but just too high, and McGriff 6'5". Greenwell's got to go to third base, but he distracts Kelly Gruber just long enough to throw it away. Go-ahead run scores 5-4. Boy, this is unbelievable.
Gruber making 2 outstanding stops on shots down the line, and then throwing both away to allow Greenwell to be at second, and then Evans ball allowing Greenwell to come home as they intentionally walked Tom Brunansky, who homered his last time up, to put runners at first and second, and Galen Cisco, the Toronto pitching coach, is out for a chat.
Well, as long as you put on a uniform and a pair of spikes, sooner or later you're going to wear the goat horns. As you said, Gruber making 2 outstanding plays. They would not even be tied if it wasn't for his bat. He's had a splendid year at third. Last year played the outfield, played third, played anywhere they wanted him. And tonight, as Evans will come out for a pinch runner, looks like Jeff Stone coming in. Jeff Stone called up, will go in. He's got excellent speed to run at second base. But you called it. This ball is a rocket. Looked like it may score Greenwell anyway because it would get by Gruber. You see the end result. A diving play. He checked Greenwell coming into third and then threw it away. Unlikely way to lose a ball game, and that's what might happen. We talked about Dwayne Ward's record, 2-8, might be 2-9. Really nothing to do with his pitching.
The Blue Jays, only having made 83 errors coming into the game, have made 3 tonight. And all 3 have contributed to scoring, as 3 of the 5 Red Sox runs are unearned. Jim Acker has joined John Candelaria in the Blue Jays bullpen. And Tony Pena is the hitter for Boston. There is still only 1 out, runners at first and second, and a run in to make it 5-4 Red Sox. Pena is 0 for 3. Strike 1. Tony has struck out twice on either side of the ground out to third. Jeff Stone running for Dwight Evans at second, and Tom Brunansky being intentionally walked, the runner at first. And Pena, as he almost always does, stepping out and taking a lot of time between pitches.
Well, Tony is not going to have the pace dictated by the pitcher.
No. Jeff Reardon now, with Boston leading by 1 run here in the 8th inning, is starting to loosen up.
You bring him in. Gray doing the job. I think I got to leave him, Jeff Gray, out there until he gets into trouble. Not deep trouble, just trouble.
Like a runner on base.
Right.
Breaking ball lofted to right field. Felix broke back, but now comes in, makes the catch, and Stone almost gets picked off second. Not only can he not advance, he shouldn't even be 1 foot off the base, and he almost got nailed.
Well, Junior Felix, better than any other outfielder for Toronto, he can bring it from right field. Tony did not have to tag the base. All he had to do was have a force out. Yeah, if he just goes for the bag, he may have gotten Jeff Stone.
That's a good point.
The shortstop.
So runners at first and second now with 2 out, and Luis Rivera 1 for 3 with a double in the second inning, the hitter. Ball 1.
See, if it's an amazing game. I mean, what really, if you're Jeff Stone, what can you be thinking about? The plays in front of you.
Where are you going?
Not to criticize him, but I mean, if you're a Toronto fan, how can you ever believe that Gruber's going to make 2 great plays and then throw both balls away? How can you believe what Jeff Stone just did?
1-1. Well, it is over in New York. Chicago picked up a run apparently in their half of the 9th inning, but the Mets win it 7-1. And at last report, Pittsburgh was a run ahead of the Cardinals. Foul back. 1-2. New York 3 games behind Pittsburgh, pending the outcome of the Pirates game. I guess you'd say they're 2.5 now since they've won. But right here, it is a dead, flat-footed tie. And the game was tied until the 2 errors by Gruber here in the 8th. And Boston leading now 5-4.
They are playing Rivera very shallow. 2 strikes. Stone will be going on the swing.
Grounded to third. Gruber tags out Stone. Doesn't have to throw it this time, and the inning is over. The Red Sox take the lead without a base hit. The 2 errors are the difference. It's 5-4. There's the old Fenway scoreboard, manually operated. Thank you. Putting those numbers up and down as they have for these many years. They, in years past, went to the lights finally for the ball, strike, and out, and hit an error. They didn't even have lights for that until fairly recently. And it is 5-4 Boston as we go to the 9th. Greg Myers leading it off, batting for the first time, and fouling it back for strike 1.
A little bit of power. Jeff Gray is still pitching for the Red Sox. Reardon will stay in the bullpen. At least unless he's called on by Joe Morgan. Cito Gaston saying throw one down in the strike zone, but not that low. That was the fork ball. Myers power down and in. Pretty much what we saw with Boggs.
Like a lot of left-handed hitters. Now it's 0-2.
Of course, the illusion of the fork ball is that you don't think it's going to end up as low as it eventually ends up. So you swing at it, you hit the top half of the ball at best, and as you make contact at all.
Fisted foul. And Myers fouling it off himself. So it's still no balls, 2 strikes.
Quite a story for the Blue Jays. Shoulder surgery 2 years ago. He's come back, and Pat Borders has done most of the catching, but real good tandem between Myers and Borders. Over 20 home runs as a team. RBIs up there around 80.
They are helping the Blue Jays not miss the great contribution for so many years by Ernie Whitt.
Well, both Myers and Borders throw a little better than Ernie.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
I think what the Blue Jays really miss is his professionalism, his wisdom behind the plate.
That leadership, those intangible things. Pena out for a word with Jeff Gray. One of the big secrets to the Red Sox success this year has been their ability to win close games. This is, of course, a 1-run affair, and if they win this one, they would have a record of 30-21 in 1-run games.
In a year where you start out with Reardon and Smith, you trade Lee Smith for Tom Bernansky, and then Reardon goes down with a back injury. So when you think you need your closer, they've had to really make do. See Joe Morgan motioning changeup. Let's give him the fork ball. I don't know if I'd mess around on the inside part of the plate like they did 0-2.
Well, he bounced it up there, and now it's 2-2.
Yeah, that was the fork ball.
Now you might want to abandon that strategy of trying to get him to swing at something totally out of the strike zone. Not only 1-run games, but other close games as well. The Red Sox have had their share. They are 44-33 in 1- and 2-run games, and Toronto just not been able to win the close ones. It's only been recently that Toronto has even been able to come from behind and win a tight ball game, and that's been just in the last couple of weeks. 3-2 now. So Gray walking the edge right now as he started off 0-2 and has thrown 3 out of the strike zone.
Well, Earl Weaver used to have a saying, you can't get beat with a 1-run lead till somebody gets on.
Reardon appears to be ready.
So what happens here? You go 3-2, you try to be too fine, you walk him, the next guy hits a 2-run home run, you lose. You pretty much got to go with your best stuff. You have to throw a strike here. You got to make the hitter swing the bat. Very simple.
And he swings it and gets a base hit to right field. So Myers patiently coming back, and a full count, and he will be pinch run for. Glenn Allen Hill will pinch run for Greg Myers. That is the tying run for Toronto here in the 9th inning, and Junior Felix will be the hitter. Felix is 0 for 3. He did drive in a run on a fielder's choice in the 7th inning and scored, and the bullpen phone is busy again in the Boston dugout.
47. Junior Felix now batting, the right fielder.
Will Junior be sacrificing? He has 4 sacrifices this season. Yeah, he is driving one deep to right field. Brunansky going back. Junior Felix with a 2-run home run, and Toronto leads it 6-5.
Unbelievable. Fastball hitter gets the fastball, and he drills it. No doubt about it. Tom Brunansky, all he can do is watch it as it is snared by somebody in the bullpen. I mean, this ball is crushed.
For Felix, his 14th home run of the year. And the Blue Jay dugout erupting.
Well, everybody but Cito. Cito Gaston.
It's not over. Well, we talked about it all throughout the game. You don't want to get beat with less than your best. And Jeff Reardon, Joe Morgan told me before the game was going to be his closer, his stopper. He chose not to go with him to open the 9th inning. The first hitter got a hit, and he still didn't bring him in. Now it may be 1 or 2 hitters too late. Toronto by 1 in the 9th. Here's our Budweiser storyline tonight, and the big story of the game is the bottom line right now. And this may be one of those games. It's a bottom line game as Mookie Wilson is out at first, hitting the first pitch down the first base line, but almost beating it out.
Well, we do know who the happiest guy in the ballpark. Take another look at Mookie chopping that ball. Quintana on it. Made a nice play. Only play he had. Throws it to Reardon. Is going to be too late. A little inexperienced factor, but other than Junior Felix, who is the second most happiest guy in the ballpark? Kelly Gruber.
Boy, I'll tell you, he just got the goat horns removed with instant surgery. Jeff Reardon is on in relief. And Tony Fernandez takes a strike, although he disagreed.
Well, you turned me when we went commercial and said, Boyd, leave yourself open for second guessing, and that's what Joe Morgan did. But I just felt that the pitching matchup dictated that Joe go to Reardon because he's got a breaking ball. Gray doesn't. Felix is a fastball hitter. And what you do is, and I'm sure what Joe is going to say is, hey, I got him up 3 times last night. I had to bring him in a ballgame we won 3-2. I didn't think the way his season is gone, but the bottom line, he will be second guessed till the ends of the earth. Dan Shaughnessy will write another book, The Second Curse of the Bambino, because basically, you're right. When the game's on the line, this is the guy you paid all the money for as a free agent. He needs to be in here. He wants to be in there. It's too much to expect from Jeff Gray.
And then after Myers led off with a single, he still had a chance to bring him in and chose not to. Now, this is not to say that Junior Felix doesn't hit a 2-run home run under any circumstances.
But you go home and sleep better if he hits the home run off of Reardon.
Absolutely.
Because he's supposedly your best.
Fernandez skies it into right center field. Brunansky and Burks converging, but it's Burks who makes the catch for out number 2. A 2-run home run by Junior Felix here in the 9th inning. And the Blue Jays have come back again and lead it 6-5. Now here's Kelly Gruber.
I mean, the reason you go get Reardon in the first play, even last year, when he had an ERA of over 4 runs a game with the Twins, he saved 31 games, 42, 31, 35, 41. He is your stopper.
Not if you don't bring him in, he's not.
He is your mop-up man right here. 6-5.
Gruber 0 for 3 plus a walk. It has not been Kelly's night with the 2 errors, 2 of 3 committed by Toronto. But they have just about come close to battling back and overcoming all that. And there's big Tom Henke in the bullpen as Gruber skies it into short center. Burks comes on, and the inning is over. But 2 hits and 2 big runs on the 2-run homer by Felix. A 1-run Toronto lead going to the bottom of the 9th.
This is ESPN Classic.
Henke coming in to do what he does best, and that's just slam the door.
We know what his nickname is, the Terminator. 31 saves out of 35 opportunities. 1 in August, 2 in July, 1 the 16th of September. More than a strikeout per inning. The one thing he's been hurt with is home runs. Throwing a home run 1 every 10 innings. Reed doesn't hit too many home runs, but they were right into the heart of the Red Sox lineup. It's going to be tough.
Carlos Diaz on as a new catcher, and Jody Reed with a foul ball down the left field line, and it's not got a lot of room to go foul down there.
Well, Henke throws really an overpowering fastball. It's a little bit straight, but the velocity well up over 90 miles per hour. Part of being a good hitter is to be able to anticipate what's coming. If it's Dave Steve, maybe you wait a little bit longer because of the slider, but Henke, you better get the bat started. Reed did, and it's hard to believe he pulled 1 foul. You don't do that too often. It's also what makes his devastating forkball so impressive. You get the bat going, you don't really pick up the spin, and that's where he gets a lot of the strikeouts.
And you are dead because you're way too far out in front of that pitch diving down. Fastball inside. 1-1. Top of the order in the bottom of the 9th. Reed, Quintana, and Boggs against Henke.
6'5", 225. Formidable body to go along with the stuff.
Just outside, 2-1. The Red Sox at one point in this game held a 4-0 lead. Toronto came back with 4 runs to tie it in the 7th inning. They took the lead. Boston did, regaining the lead in the 8th. And then Toronto, with a 2-run home run in the 9th, grabbed the lead back 6-5.
2 consecutive forkballs. What that loud foul ball that just missed being a double did was maybe make Tom Henke lose faith in his fastball. 3-1. Good hitting count.
Ball 4. The Red Sox have the tying run aboard with nobody out in the 9th inning. The emotions swing like a giant pendulum from one dugout to the other in games and situations such as this. And you can see it.
Well, I always thought it was more like, a roller coaster. You know, Boddicker early in the game looked at the scoreboard, saw a 4-0 lead, and all of a sudden it's 4-4. Dave Steve, who started, said, hey, I have no chance tonight, and all of a sudden it's tied 4-4. He comes out of the ball game. Kelly Gruber figures he's going to be the one everybody's criticizing for the errors in the 8th. Joe Morgan saying, hey, boy, am I going to have to answer some questions why I didn't bring in Reardon.
Quintana, squaring to bunt and taking a strike, has only had 3 sacrifice hits this year.
Didn't appear very much like George Bell, who tried to sacrifice for Toronto, that he knows what to do in a bunt situation. I mean, he wasn't even close to that pitch.
Nor was his bat hit in fair territory, which you just about have to have to bunt the ball fair.
Yeah, out in front of the plate, so if you do bunt it, it doesn't go down and hit the plate.
He pulls it back, and it's 1-1. Gruber and McGriff both charging. And Quintana stepping out to study third base coach Rack Slider.
Well, as shallow as both McGriff and Gruber is, going to be very difficult to sacrifice Reed over. It's going to take an excellent bunt, one that's just deadened and stops out in front of home plate. Anything hard, they may get to force it second. That's what they're going to try to do.
And a little play on it first. But Jody Reed back in time. Nobody out. Bottom of the 9th. Boston trailing by 1. And Reed at first. Bunted off the plate. Gruber will have to go to first. It wasn't a great bunt, but it was a successful sacrifice as Reed is in scoring position with 1 out.
Like we said, you got to get the bat even with the plate, so you butt it right off the top of the plate. That deadens the ball by sending it high into the air.
Well, you know, there's a book and then there's another way to do it.
Well, this book has been rewritten and rewritten tonight, right off the top of the plate. Reed, big lead. He knows play in front of him. Good base running, because you don't ever assume there's not going to be a play. So he slides.
Cito Gaston out to talk to Tom Henke and Carlos Diaz. And they're going to decide what they want to do with Wade Boggs. Boggs has singled and homered in 4 trips.
Well, this is the same situation. The game continues if the man at second scores. If Boggs, who's the winning run, happens to get on because you either pitch too carefully to him or whatever, and Burks, who's no slouch behind him, you end up losing the ball game.
Yeah, and the book, although as we just found out, it has a lot of gray areas, says you don't ever intentionally put the winning run on. And so Boggs takes the ball. Wade is not only hitting .367 here in Fenway Park this year, he's hitting .343 with runners in scoring position, and career 4 for 8 against Tom Henke. Reed at second, 1 out. 2 balls, no strikes.
You know, it may appear you make your pitch or you pitch to Burks. And that can be risky. Those Burks can really hurt you. Extra base power, home run power. We've already seen him loop a pretty good pitch into right field for the first RBI. But occasionally you gamble. I don't think it's a good play.
Boggs fouls it back, and it counts 2-1.
Well, he had a good swing at that ball. 2-0. Looked like he looked for something he could hit and drive. Not a very defensive swing at all.
Fouled off again. 2-2. We talk about the roller coaster or pendulum of emotions for the fans here tonight, and for Boston fans everywhere, I guess. But certainly for the 36,000 in the park. It's been a microcosm of the season. They have been up and down and up and down tonight. Three balls, 2 strikes.
You can see him grip it with the forkball grip. It looks like a forkball that maybe got away. You talked about being relaxed. You don't get the ball in the fingertips, you lose all movement. Ball straightens out. Don't throw it as hard, even though you're trying to throw it harder than you ever have.
Ball 4.
Well, that was a pitch around.
He was not going to give in to Wade Boggs. He has walked 2. There are runners at first and second, and now they represent the tying and winning run for Boston.
Tell you a little bit about Toronto's outfield. Felix in right can throw. Wilson does not have a good arm in center, and Bell in left does not throw well.
Jody Reed runs well at second base. Ellis Burks tonight 1 for 4, an RBI and a run scored as well. Ball 1. Six to 5 Toronto with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Runners at first and second. Ball 2.
A lot of people asking Cito Gaston, manager of the Blue Jays, did you think that the off day yesterday helped? Well, it may have helped the ball club, even though they lost on Wednesday. But Henke has not been out there in 4 days. Underneath the forkball, underneath the fastball, which is why it's up in the strike zone. And when you are a stuff pitcher, I mean, he can make good pitches, but he gets by more on stuff than location most of the time. Movement, getting it over.
Ellis Burks with a base hit to left. Here comes Jody Reed. George Bell's throw will stop him. The bases are loaded. Burks' ball hit very hard, and again the short left field coming into play here at Fenway.
Sometimes you just hit it too hard. That's exactly what Ellis Burks does. George saying, just try. If you're rack slider, there is no way in the world when you got a guy like Greenwell coming up that you can have Jody Reed thrown out at the plate. Maybe if it was a grounder, but not on a line drive.
Well, the other factor was that Reed had to hold a second to be sure that Tony Fernandez didn't catch that line drive. So here is Mike Greenwell, who has homered in 3 official at-bats and been walked once. Ball 1. Bases loaded, 1 out. Greenwell hit his 11th. Make that
Bernansky homer. Greenwell with a base hit.
Greenwell singled to left in the first inning.
As much as he'd like to homer, he didn't get it. He only got a single.
He is 1 for 4 with a run scored. On the ground, base hit right field. The game is tied, and here comes Boggs. He'll be held. The throw gets away.
Steve, Toronto is living right. Hinkie didn't back up. The ball hit the top of the railing. Told you Felix could throw. Had no idea that could have stuffed from right field. He let it go. A very poor throw, but Hinkie didn't back up, and they lucked out. Simple as that. Again, rack sliders. Respect, but look at the throw. Missed the cutoff man. And this goes to a point. People wonder why Toronto tied with Red Sox. It's because they played undisciplined baseball. He gets a good jump, but rack slider says, you go back there. 1 out, we are going to let the batter win it.
You cannot anticipate the throw going over the head of Carlos Diaz, the catcher, as it did. The Red Sox, however, have tied it at 6 here in the bottom of the 9th.
Jeff
Stone, the hitter. He entered the game in the 8th as a pinch runner for Dwight Evans, and he fouls it back for strike 1.
Outfield also playing where they can catch a line drive and throw a runner out at home plate. This is a judgment call by the outfielders. The manager will tell you, play where you think you can make the out and also be able to throw out Boggs if he tags up. Long fly ball. Red Sox will win.
Jeff Stone's first official at bat this season. He's been in 7 games but does not have an at bat. Well hit, base hit. The Red Sox win it. Sox fans thinking it might be no joy in Mudville once again for them after what happened in the top of the 9th inning. A 2-run home run by Junior Felix. An unlikely hero, Jeff Stone, with the game-winning base hit in the bottom of the 9th.
A terrific player as Boggs realizes that ball is too deep to be caught. And he will score the winning run. So Joe Morgan, instead of asking him, why did you leave Jeff Gray in there? What a stroke of genius sending up Jeff Stone. Tom Henke knows he just lost the ball game. What a game.